Hello and welcome to the Codercy channel. In this video, I'll show you how to solve the problem of uncontrolled scope when implementing a DSL with Kotlin and how the DslMarker annotation can help us with that. If this is your first meeting with Kotlin DSLs, then I highly encourage you to check out my previous video in which I show step by step how to implement a custom DSL with Kotlin. You can find the link in the description. With that said, let's get to work. Before we dive into the solution with Kotlin DSLMarker, let's understand what problem it solves first. So firstly, let's take a look at the following example of simple DSL with board, task, author and comment classes. If you saw my previous video, then this may seem familiar to you. As we can see, we have an enum class, board color, which contains a few colors, black, white, green, blue. Following, we have a board class, which has title, color, and which can have multiple tasks, which are stored in this mutable list. Following, we have a similar class, task, which also has a title, description, and additionally some comments, again stored in a mutable list. And lastly, we have a comment and author. The comment has its content stored inside the comment variable, and the author, which is a class with simple name. So with the following Kotlin DSL implementation, we would expect that we could introduce different boards, tasks inside them, which could have some comments written by authors. So let's introduce our first variable and let's make use of our DSL. Val board equals, and let's start with a board. Inside this function, let's specify some title for our board, for example, board title. Similarly, some color, I would like to change the default one, which is blue, to green. And let me add some task. The task, similarly, let's set some title, equals task 1. Inside the task, I would like to specify some comment again, and the comment can have a comment value. So comment equals some comment. Excellent. Similarly, the author, and the author can have a name. So name equals, and let's specify Piotr, for example. So right here we can see the proper usage of our implemented DSL, right? We start with a board, implement a task inside it, we add a comment with an author. So to put it simply, we have a valid hierarchy right here. But let's take a look at another example. Let's introduce board2, in which we'll make a little mess right here. So val board2 equals board. Now let me introduce a new task. Wonderful. And another task in it. Another task. Comment. Again task. Some author. Maybe again task. Will it compile? Unfortunately, yes. As you can see, we invoke the task within a task within a task and so on. Moreover, we can invoke the task or comment functions inside the author, right? And that's because by default, we can call the methods of every available receiver, which can lead to situations like that. So in order to fix this issue, we have to prohibit the usage of author receiver. And as you might already know, we will use the DslMarker annotation. So let's update the example. Let me navigate to the top and let's introduce our new annotation. Annotation class, and let's call it board DSL. We must mark it with DslMarker annotation. Let me hit Ctrl and navigate to the DslMarker annotation documentation. Right here, when we take a look at the target, we can see that we can use this only on an annotation class. So in order to make use of it in our project, we must introduce a new custom annotation. We cannot use it directly on any class, for example, right? So as the next step will be to simply invoke our classes from our DSL with board DSL annotation. So let's start with class board DSL. Similarly for the class, board DSL, comment, board DSL, and author, similarly, board DSL. When we scroll down to the main class, we will clearly see that the code will not compile anymore. So in order to fix that, I must introduce the valid hierarchy. Here, Ctrl+Alt+L to format the code. Let me get rid of the unwanted brackets. Again, Ctrl+Alt+L. And we can see that this way, using the DslMarker annotation, we may force the proper usage of our DSL. And that's all for this video, in which we learned how to solve the problem of uncontrolled scope with DslMarker annotation. If you enjoyed this content, then don't forget to subscribe me for more Kotlin and backend knowledge. See you in the next video.